as we continue moving forward on this Wednesday, joined by Julien Ducree, former Dixie State basketball center / forward, here as we transition into our Tracking Trailblazers segment. Julien, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's get started. I mean, you've just been absolutely busy this summer since finishing your basketball career here at Dixie State. Obviously, I know you've had some playing time in the Drew League. You went over to China, played some basketball games. You've just been extremely busy over this summer. Just to kind of take us through a little bit about what you've been doing. Give us some things about what you did in the Drew League over in China. Just give us kind of a recap of what you've done so far this summer.
So I played in a couple top leagues, like top pro-ams. First one was the Venice Beach League. That was just kind of like outside. It's pretty notable though. Pretty notable pro-am. Kind of a lot of celebrities come out and play. They kind of host events with a lot of celebrities. So that was pretty fun. That's kind of what got me getting back into my groove again. Then the Drew League, I've been playing in the Drew League for quite some time. Well, actually, I played in my freshman year, and I was kind of hurt the other 2 years, so I never really got to play in it. And this past summer was my first off season that I was healthy, so I kind of got in tune with that. And then one thing just happened after another. Like I was cooking in the VBL, then I was cooking in the Drew. And then I kind of got some media buzz, and that's when everything started just happening for me.
I understand you went over and played in China, and kind of you weren't on this team in China, but you got called up just kind of randomly and joined this team. You went over and played in a tournament over in China, and your team won the tournament.
Yeah.
Tell us about how that kind of came together and what exactly it was, and kind of how it was just to win that whole tournament.
So what it was is, so the CEO of the VBL, he's kind of like, a big name, kind of knows a lot of guys overseas just because he's from France. So he came to the U.S., started this VBL about 13 years ago, and it's kind of been rolling ever since. And so he kind of puts this team together every year and sends them off to, this actually tournament that we went to was a new tournament. They normally go to the Jump 10, it's a different part of China, like just $150,000 was the tournament, but this one was actually $300,000. The one we went to was called the KOK, the King of the Courts. And so he kind of just took some guys that he knew that can go and put a team together from the VBL. So that's kind of how I got put on.
Chatting with Julien Ducree here on our Tracking Trailblazers segment. Of course, if you're just joining us and you don't know what the Tracking Trailblazers segment is where we bring back a former student athlete or coach who is continuing to play and continuing to excel at the next level. And we're chatting with former Dixie State men's basketball forward / center Julien Ducree. Julien, continue to talk about your time in China, because you and I chatted it up the other day over in Steve Johnson's office, the men's basketball SID. And we love having you around because we love hearing these stories. We'd like to talk to our student athletes that are still having success. So you talk about this China tournament, and I understand that you hit a couple game winners in this thing. You helped. I mean, you literally a couple of these plays. You put your team on your back and help your team win this tournament and take home that cash prize. Take us through those plays. It was back-to-back games, right?
Yeah, it was back-to-back.
The quarterfinals and the semifinals.
So it was
the game winners. Take us through that. Take us through those plays.
So it was the first game winner was, I think it was quarter, and then it was the next game winner was the game to send us to the semis. So the first game winner, they kind of had told me from the jump, because they were like, yo, you're pretty versatile coming in, because I've been working pretty hard in the off season, and so I came to the VBL. It was pretty versatile, so they kind of asked me to be the guy. And at first I thought it was just a coach talking, but they were serious. And I was the youngest on the team by 4 years. So the next oldest guy was Mamadou, and he just came back from Detroit. He played with the Pistons. He's 26, and so he's the next oldest. So I'm me the guy. I'm thinking that's a joke, but they really depended on me. So I'm at this point, it's win or die by Jew. So the first one, I shot it. It was in rhythm. It was kind of jab, baseline, kind of went middle, shot the elbow jumper, and it was cone work from there. And then the next one was
Next one was deep.
The next one was
you
deep.
showed me both of them. Next one was, we're talking Steph range.
36, 38 feet, contested. So what happened was we were down 3. We were down 2 actually. I came down and hit the 3 to put us up. They came back down and hit another 3, so that put them back up by 2. And there was only a couple seconds left, so we called timeout. Coach drew up the play, and we broke the play, and I shot the shot.
Yeah, so we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about it. The play breaks, right? And you end up, because you had the ball, were you supposed to set a screen and then roll off?
Yeah.
And then you ended up with the ball. How to take it? You said the play breaks down. Take us through it.
So I came from the block. So there was a man on the wing, a man in the corner, and a man on the top with the ball. I was supposed to come from the block and set the screen and pop out and receive the ball. But they were squeezing the screen, so we couldn't quite set the screen. So he pushed me kind of far out, so I was kind of near the half-court line. So he drove to the dude in the corner. I'm still hanging at half court. So we drove to the dude in the corner. He kicked it. The dude in the corner got the ball, drove towards the basket, kind of like, trying to bring all the guys in. And I was sitting at the top, naked. He throws me the ball. I look at the clock. There's like 3 seconds left. One dribble, stutter step, pull it from like 38. Gooseneck, kept it high. All I seen was bottom of the net, and we win the game.
Chatting with Julien Ducree here in our Tracking Trailblazers segment on Trailblazer Weekly, and Julian's been busy this summer playing in, like you said, the Drew League, the Venice Beach League, the King of the Court China tournament is what we're just talking about now. His team wins that, you win a cash prize, so congratulations for that. Now, you've been playing with some pretty notable names in some of these leagues as well, and we were teasing this earlier in the show. Did you end up with any big baller brand gear after any of these things?
I think I had
you played LaMelo Ball was on your team in the Drew League, right?
He was. So he was great, by the way, great player, great kid. But I definitely got some Triple B in there, just one shirt, not too much, because I got to build my own brand. I can't just build his, but no, I definitely showed the support. I've known them for a long time, since I was a little bit younger. And so kind of growing up with them, just seeing the hype go around them is great, though, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, what's it like playing with LaMelo Ball, a guy who has been in the spotlight for 2 or 3 years at least since he was in high school? What's it like playing with a guy like that is on a upward trajectory, going to the pros? What was it like? I'm sure you met his dad or was around his dad at times. What was it just like being around that kind of guy?
Oh, it was fun. He's a great kid, funny kid. He's normal. I mean, it's just like I knew him before the fame, so it kind of like stepping back and like realizing that he's this kid is like probably one of the most famous kids in the world right now, and it's like, I mean, it's different because it's like hanging around that, having bodyguards everywhere with our team. People can't come in the back of the locker room, or them rushing us after games. It's like, it was definitely like one for the books for sure, but it's definitely a different atmosphere. Like you notice a lot more, you see a lot more, and it's like definitely meet a ton of people. I'm
sure it was a circus at times. Of course, he's a popular guy, and of course his dad creates a circus everywhere he goes, just about. So I'm sure that was quite the experience. Let's talk a little bit about kind of what your future plans are. Obviously, you have goals and aspirations to continue playing basketball, and we certainly hope you can find that to do that in some capacity. Kind of what are your future plans? What do you have upcoming on the docket so far?
So my agent kind of has some stuff stirred up for next summer. Right now, we felt like the best thing for me was to finish school, just because in the past I've been injury prone, so basketball has been taken from me once. So I know it can be taken from me any other time. So we kind of figured that school would be the best bet right now. But next summer I definitely have some things going up, some summer league workouts from the NBA, a lot of overseas options, and at this point, a lot of stuff is opening for me. Ever since I changed my position too, because I'm not a center anymore. I play kind of like the 3-4 now. So I slimmed up. I was like 271 at the beginning of the summer. Now I'm like 254 now. So moving a little bit better and feeling a little better. So the future holds a lot for sure.
Trying to show Juddy that he should have let you handle the ball a little bit more. Huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. And those threes are going up. I was shooting a high percentage in China too. High percentage.
Let's talk about, you mentioned that you've been working hard in the offseason, and we saw that paying off even here at Dixie State. And unfortunately, that run cut short in the quarterfinals against Mexico Highlands. But what is it specifically that you've been working on? As you said, you switched your position. You're playing more of a 3-4 combo now instead of a 4-5. I'm sure the work has something to do with that. But what specifically have you been working on in your game as you've been trying to continue to take that to the next level?
And adding to it slowly. So I added a little bit of the dribble. I've added a little more confidence for sure. I've added the 3. And I never really had an off season, because I've always been like, kind of like the injury guy. Like every summer coming out from my freshman year to about my junior year, I've never really had an off season. Like I've always came back hurt. I've always been hurt in the summertime, worried about recovery. So I never really had that edge. So this past summer I was like free. Like I came back healthy. I came back ready to move, ready to work, and that kind of just evolved from there. So I just kind of put that work ethic towards the summertime and had a lot of open options just because, you know, I'm living in California, all the stuff kind of is based there. So I just took advantage of opportunity. And someone was like, why don't you just like, why are you being contained to like a 4.5? You're 6'9". Like in the NBA, you wouldn't be a 4.5. So why not switch it up? And I was like, why not? Like, why not be a 3.4 and be something I always wanted to be? But
yeah, continuing to talk about your time here at Dixie State. I know from what I understand, you know, there's some quirkiness. There's a lot of Juddy-isms, if you will, but you know, a fantastic basketball coach, a guy that really knows the game, and everyone that's played for him and really bought into his system has left and said, man, I learned a ton playing under Coach Judkins and here at Dixie State. So, you know, we always like to ask in this Tracking Trailblazer segment as well. I mean, just reflect back on your time here at Dixie State, and what are some of the biggest lessons, the biggest things that you took as a person and then as a basketball player from your time here at Dixie State?
I learned that, like, team is everything, for sure. Like, you know, you got to put the team first before yourself. Not saying that I was a selfish guy when I got here, because I definitely wasn't. I was about the team, but it's definitely about the team, for sure. Like, you know, the team, like, I never really had like you know how when someone says, like, oh, bring the team first, as long as you're together with your team, you'll get through anything. And I feel like last season we really showed that. Like, you know, we stuck together. We didn't have a good record at the beginning. We kind of stuck together at the end and fought through everything, and we kind of, you know, busted open at the end of the season and pulled out second place. So, I mean, you know, second place is not, you know, great, but it was definitely an accomplishment for us, starting from 14th and ending in second place. So I learned to stay together and stay true to, you know, your ethics and your work habits and stuff like that.
Going back to talking about Coach Judkins as we continue to talk with Julien Ducree here live on Trailblazer Weekly, Tracking Trailblazer segments. Julien Ducree's been playing in the Drew League, in the King of the Court over in China, a lot of different stuff as we continue talking with him. Coach Judkins obviously has built a big program here. Is there something, maybe just in your time after you've finished playing for him, is there maybe an experience where you can recall of something he may have taught you that has helped you in your time, you know, this off season, this summer, that you've been in maybe the Drew League, or maybe there's been a time in China where you thought back and say, hey, this is something that I learned from Coach Judkins that I've been able to use in my post NCAA career?
He definitely taught me that, like, hard work pays off. Because when I got here, I was very talented. You know, my work ethic was, you know, a little suspect. It's not suspect anymore, but when I got here, it was suspect. Juddy definitely whipped that into shape. But, you know, like, I just thought I was going to come in here and be the guy. And he was like, that's not happening. Like, you're going to have to show me something. Like, you're not just going to walk in here and think you're running the show. Because at the end of the day, you know, Juddy runs the show. This is Juddy's program. He wins. And, I mean, what can I say to that? Like, I'm just a player. Like, he can go replace me any day. I can replace the head coach. So it's like, he definitely taught me to stay true to myself and stay humble, for sure. He kept me humble.
Let's talk about memories. Obviously, a good career for you. You know, obviously derailed by a few unfortunate injuries, but had a good senior season. Went out and played well your final year here. Is there a favorite memory that you have here at Dixie State, whether it be either on the court, maybe off the court? Is there a favorite game, a favorite moment, a favorite, maybe even a basket that you made? Do you have a favorite memory here that you made at Dixie State while playing?
I have a favorite, like, not memory. I always wanted the lunchbox. Like, I tried to get as many assists as possible. It may not look like it, but I always wanted the lunchbox. But most notable memory for sure is winning the championship. Like, getting the hardware, getting the ring. Like, we did what we said we were going to do, and we stayed true. So that was definitely, like, one that I'll never forget. I was hurt, but, like, I mean, I still contributed during the season to get us there.
No doubt about it. It's a team game, and even if you're hurt or a part of the team in any regard, a practice player, it's really a team game and a team sport, and no matter what, you're contributing to it. Oh. So,
I mean, very rarely do you see that many wins in a row. That 18 wins in a row, 2017, 2018 season. You know, unfortunately, that had to end in the NCAA tournament, which I've always said is one of those games that they've really looked back at and said, man, if we had Julien Ducree out on the court in that game against the Sousa Pacific, it's a totally different game. And who knows what happened. So you definitely missed during that postseason run, but your presence was felt during the regular season as well. And that, you know, like you said, got the ring, and I even got one too that I wear to games every now and again, but was an incredible season and just an incredible career for you here at Dixie State. And our time has run out with Julien Ducree, but Julien, we thank you so much for stopping by. You're on campus. Julien will be around this semester and next, or just finishing up this semester? Or?
We're seeing about next semester.
Okay.
I might take some work with me overseas, depending on
depending on the opportunities that come your way. But for the next couple of weeks anyway, Julien's on campus. If you see him, wave at him. Tell him hi. Tell him thanks for all he did for the Dixie State basketball program, and then wish him all the best going forward.
Thank you.